like this way of Cowboys team building because they are so much of we are just going to draft and develop that they just ignore free agency. And now we're going to hear the excuse of, well, we paid the quarterback, which is a BS excuse. Because, I mean, look at the Kansas City Chiefs, for instance, or one team that paid their quarterback, but then also signed the best guard in free agency in Joe Thuney, and also re-signed Chris Jones to a big money deal. Look at the Rams, who traded for Matthew Stafford, who's got a pretty darn fat contract. And also, oh, by the way, we're able to sign Odell Beckham Jr. and give Jalen Ramsey a big deal and re-up on Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. And there's just always a way around this thing. So don't let the Cowboys lie to us. Like, we're not dum-dums here. I get it. You're over the cap. There's always a way to move a little bit here, move a little bit there, jiggle a little bit there, sprinkle dinkle here. You can work your way around it, okay? It's not an excuse to, oh, we can't improve our team through free agency. And there's really only one team that's still in the playoffs right now that also just says, screw free agency. We're not going to be players. It's really the Green Bay Packers. You're hard-pressed to find free agents that the Packers really go out and acquire, especially big money ones. They don't pay for free agency. The Packers are also one of those organizations that are all about drafting and developing, and quite frankly, that's a big reason they're in the position they are right now or were entering the season with Aaron Rodgers and his frustration. Because they're not that aggressive in this is a win-now moment. Carpe diem. Let's seize this opportunity. And it's not to say because the Cowboys did do this in the middle 2000s. And that's why I think Stephen Jones has now gone the total opposite direction and gone a 180 from that. Because the Cowboys did throw money around to, Jason Ferguson and Anthony Henry and, name the player in the middle 2000s, whether it was Ken Hamlin. And they were bad contracts. They didn't work out. But there's a happy median here to where if you see a guy like a Joe Thuney, like from the Patriots that Kansas City did and said, hey, we're a Super Bowl contending team. This is a weakness. Let's go out and address this. Bring that guy in. If you see one or two guys in free agency that could really benefit you, don't be hesitant to make that move. You have to use all areas of team building if you want to be a championship contender. And the Cowboys are doing a really good job at drafting and developing. But to completely ignore free agency is the reason why this team will not take that next step.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. I really do. I think it's one of those things that is a bit frustrating, and I think it's a year-to-year, team-to-team basis. It's not how you want to build your team. No one is telling the Joneses or the Cowboys to build your team through free agency. That's obviously foolish, and you can't do that. You can't sustain that. But like you said, to completely ignore one aspect of team building is extremely foolish. And if you're a team that is not a legitimate contender, you don't have a foundation to your roster of young guys that you have drafted and developed, and you're not in a place where you are really a contender, then, yeah, you don't need to go throw a bunch of money at free agency. And it's funny because those are the teams that oftentimes do that. It's the lowly teams that are trash. They got a bunch of money in free agency, or they got a bunch of cap space, and they're just like, we're going to go buy a bunch of players, but they don't have anything foundationally that says, oh, yeah, we're actually a contender. Now, the Cowboys have done such a good job at all those other things, drafting, developing, having young guys for decently cheap in certain areas, where they have that foundation. They have that foundation. And so, they've done so good with that foundation to where they've gotten to a place where they can be a contender. They got a top 10 quarterback. They got cornerstone pieces at big-time positions that are young and just on the ascend or just improving every year. And so how do you get to that next level? Well, it's by adding legitimate pieces of guys that can take you over the top. It's okay, we've we've drafted in a way that allows us to be a competitive team. We got a top 10 quarterback who we've paid and we feel like is our franchise quarterback. Okay. We got good pieces all throughout our team on both sides of the ball. But clearly it's not good enough to win a Super Bowl or even get to within a game of the Super Bowl or to even get within 2 games of the Super Bowl. So what does that mean? What do I need to do? Well, you continue to do all the things you are doing, and then you go bring in some veteran beasts. And you can pretty much go down the list of all these teams. We know the Bucs have, and we know the Rams have. That's obvious.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the Bills. Emmanuel Sanders was a free agent addition just right off the top of my head for them. I'm sure they had a couple.
Cole Beasley was another one.
Cole Beasley, absolutely. I'm sure they've had a couple of others on the defensive side of the football that they've added as well.
We know about the Chiefs and guys they've added here recently.
Trent Williams was a free agent addition for the San Francisco 49ers.
Right. The Bengals, I mean, Trey Hendrickson, the guy that we're saying that they must have defensively if they're going to even really have a chance.
I mean, their entire secondary is basically free agent.
Yeah, Chidobe Awuzie. I mean, yeah, 100%. And then the Titans have done, I mean, the Titans quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, was a free agent addition. Let alone some of the, I know like the Julio Joneses of the world didn't work.
Bud Dupree.
But Bud Dupree, yeah, they've added some pieces defensively. So it's like you have to be willing. You can't just completely ignore stud big money players in free agency when you are at a place organizationally with your roster where you are competing for a Super Bowl. And it's doing yourself and your fan base a complete disservice to be in the realm of contention and not do everything in your power to accumulate the most amount of talent possible.
Yeah. And then to blatantly just lie to your fan base, I mean, I get it. Yeah, the Cowboys are not in the best cap situation. But there are teams that prove it every single year. 903, a great example, Micah Hyde, safety for Buffalo, was drafted by Green Bay. They signed him. He's a captain. He's one of their best players, most trusted players. He's also their kick returner there in Buffalo. It's a great example from the 903. And that's not even a super high-priced free agent addition. You have to have a good blend of both. You can't just do it one way or the other. And the Cowboys have always kind of been that way. They kind of sucked at drafting, and it was like, let's go ahead and just throw money around in free agency. That didn't work. All right, well, now we're pretty good at drafting, but let's not spend any money on free agents. This was the one year they can look back at it and say, okay, they actually hit on some of these low-level, very cheap free agents. But for the previous 3 years, we were screaming at each other and banging our heads against the walls like this strategy does not work.
Ooh. This is a great note, and I was thinking Jordan Poyer, and it might be him as well, but Micah Hyde.
Thank you for listening to the show.
Oh, my bad.
Literally. I know you were texting, but it's okay. We talked about that.
Someone tweeted at us and had a funny tweet at Nosebleeds 1053, so I couldn't help but be consumed by it.
And the 817, Stephon Diggs. How could we forget that?
Well, that was a trade.
That was a trade. But, I mean, that's another area. How many times do you see the Cowboys making trades outside of Amari Cooper?
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
They don't really do that. I mean, it's literally they use the draft, and then it's like, let's get the C-tier free agents and cross our fingers and pray that this will work. All right.
And sometimes you hit like this offseason, and then other times
But honestly, more often than not, they have not.
No, more often than not, it's a bunch of Don Terry Pose, which is a nightmare.
And Ha-Ha Clinton Dix's.
Oh, geez. Yeah, but some of us were really excited about that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Former first-round pick. I was like, at least this guy's got a pedigree. Couldn't even make the damn team.
No, he did suck. And the Cowboys in free agency do suck as well. And it's really difficult for the Joneses because free agency always coincides with their spring break trips, and it can be tough on them, dude. Give them a break.
That's a good point.
Give them a break.
They're on family vacation.